Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist. And we've been gone for a little few weeks, but it's really good to be back. And I welcome Susan. Good to see you, Susan.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome to you too. But we weren't out for traveling or anything like that, I wish, but we've both been very busy working on some other side projects. So
Yeah.
all good things are happening in our world. So my name is Susan Capurso. I'm an end-of-life doula and a legacy expert. So I do a few things regarding that. You can take a look at our websites to learn a little bit more and get some more information. Today, we're talking about a very important topic,
Mm.
and this is for people at the end of life, but it's also for people not at the end of life, everyday people, no matter what age you are. So I say you can be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and still have regrets about the your past, right? So we're talking a little bit about the regrets that people specifically have and have talked about and have mentioned at the end of life. And I had stumbled across this article, and Lisa saw it too. And it was a wonderful case study done by a nurse and an author, and she put all this information in a book. So we're going to just go through the top five regrets that people have at the end of their lives. Her name is Bronnie, Bronnie, Ware, Ware. And she spent several years caring for patients in the last 12 weeks of their lives. And she documented and revealed some of these top regrets. And they're really important to talk about because I think that if we know what the regrets are, we can learn from them, grow from them, and maybe incorporate some of the things into our lives now,
Yes.
regardless of our ages, right? So we don't have those same regrets at the end of our life. And we're all going there. We're all going to have an end of life,
Yes.
unfortunately, right? That's how
Yes.
the world rolls. So the
That's right.
first one she has here is I'll read this directly from her. Um, I wish I had the courage to live a life that was true to myself, not the life that others expected of me.
Mm, mm,
That's pretty deep, right? But
mm,
how could this be number one on her list?
mm.
So let's talk about this a little bit. It's really important to follow your own goals and dreams in
Yes.
your life, no matter what anybody else thinks of them. And we're so we tend to do, especially our parents at younger ages, and we take their guidance. We know, love, and trust them, and we take their guidance. I'm working on a book right now, and I just got off Zoom with him, Lisa, a few minutes ago. And one of the questions were, what would you have done differently in your life? He knew right away what he wanted to be all his life, but his father steered him away from it and wouldn't let him go to that school to learn because I wanted you to go to the school I went to. And he went into business and he didn't want that. He knew what he wanted. So instead, he stayed involved, but on a volunteer basis,
Yeah, I'm so
helping
Yeah, I'm so
organizations.
glad you brought up careers. That's my thing. Um,
Yes.
because I have interviewed so many people who said that they tried to follow what their parents wanted them to do or expected them to do, and they have so many regrets. And I feel so badly for them that they didn't follow their own passions and their own beliefs. It's a horrible thing to look back and say, if only I had become or I really want to become, and so unfair because we need to live our own lives. And as parents, we need to let our kids grow. And even when they make mistakes, they need to learn from their own mistakes. So at least they could say to themselves, well, I tried this and it didn't work. So I feel very badly for people who did not fulfill their career goals and their loves. I think that's just
You know
so
what I
sad.
think part of that is, Lisa? I think that when we're younger than you and I, we don't realize how short life is. I do now, you do now.
Yeah,
But
but
when you're younger, you don't even give that a second thought. And we feel like we're going to be here for 200 or 300 years,
yeah,
but life goes by so quickly.
you know, everybody else it feels that way, but I never felt that way. Susan, I can just tell you that from the time that I was young, I grew up with death, and I knew just because my mother dying when I was 2, I knew that any second somebody's life could be gone. And she was 26. And I lived with that my entire life. My entire life. So I was always telling other people, don't wait, don't regret,
But
don't,
I think you were new. I think you were unique in that,
I know.
you know,
Mm.
being so young like that. I lost my first person was my husband 9 years ago.
Wow. Wow. How
So
lucky were you
how
that you didn't?
lucky and blessed was I,
That's
right?
right.
And I
That's
always knew that. It was almost scary that I don't have anybody in my family who's ever died.
mm,
So we're two opposite sides of the spectrum, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Living and having regrets at the end of your life
mm.
is really something big, you know?
Yes.
And you wanted to bring up that story that you mentioned earlier. So not having those regrets, and you knew about them early on with your husband. So what was one of the goals that you wanted to create with him?
So we always loved to travel, and we loved RVs. We started, with a tent like everybody, and then we went to a pop-up, and then we finally said, you know what? We're getting older. We're in our 40s. We're getting older, and let's buy an RV. And that's young to buy an RV, end of your 40s. Most people are in their 50s, 60s, buying a big RV. And we went to a show. We rented them, so we knew what we were up against and what was involved. And we went to this show, and we waited till Sunday because on Sunday everything dropped. They want to get rid of these RVs. So we saved an enormous amount of money on this RV. We had it for 10 years. It was the most amazing life. It was everything that we wanted to be. We still work, so obviously we didn't spend as much time as we would have liked to, but we did go across country, and we went to Maine, and we went down to Florida a number of times, and we went out to Las Vegas. I mean, we did some amazing trips, and the memories we have. And I just think that had we not done that at this point in my life, I would be so sad that we had not that we missed out on that because we talked about it for so long, and we did it.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
said,
And
"What?"
the point being, Lisa, is that you didn't wait and you
That's
didn't
right.
let it become a regret,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Okay, the next one. Number two, I wish I hadn't worked so hard.
Mm.
And
You
this
know,
is another regret that people they just
big,
don't realize. They don't
big.
have balance in their lives and they don't set aside that time for
That's right.
relaxation and enjoyment. And they
Right.
make work their entire lives. And then
That's right.
before you know it, life is over.
And that's their identity. Their identity is work. And that happens to a lot of people, but many men. I mean, it's focused a lot on men
Yeah,
who don't take the breaks and don't see, real kind of balance so that it's
right.
family and the work and all. This is a problem, big problem. And people say
Yeah.
all the time, I wish I had not worked so many hours,
I've
done so.
heard that. I've heard that one for many years.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, so many type A personalities. I know some now today. And I'm constantly reiterating that, you know, do something for yourself. Take a
yes,
break. Do
yes.
something this weekend. The world is not going to fall apart if you're not there on Saturday or Sunday. And it's important to do those things so you don't have that regret. Number three, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings.
Mm,
So communicating is really important in our lives. We know that, but open and honest communication, I think, with the people around you
yes,
is, really important. If you have feelings about anything, you need to express them,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
In an
How
open and
many
honest,
people keep so much in? And by the way, that's a big part of people getting sick because everything's internalized and they haven't been
yeah,
able to express themselves. And that's so dangerous to your mental and physical health.
right, right.
Yeah.
So that I've heard that too through the years.
Yeah.
And you hold things back because why? You don't want the drama. You don't want to start trouble. You don't want to hear the other person, so you just avoid it. But these are things, like you said, that build up and can get you sick along the way. Number
Yes.
four, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends.
Mm,
So, human beings were social creatures. We really are. And we need connections in order to thrive. So maintaining your friendships and different relationships, even if it's an occasional check-in and picking up the phone. Um, and you know this more than anybody, Lisa. You have a schedule on you. You're an Energizer bunny, number one. But even you said after today's video, you're going to help a friend just write some things down for his grandchildren because he's at the end of life.
Yes.
And doing these things and helping and volunteering and keeping busy and staying in touch with people who are important to you is important because I know firsthand that it's so easy to just be tired and want to just stay home and put Netflix on tonight and not make the phone call or not, you have to force yourself sometimes.
You know what I think it is? I think it's a matter of saying this is a priority. It's a priority for me to be in touch with my friends in Vermont. I've known him since I was 4, and at least once a week, I'm going to make sure that I speak with him. And then I'm going to make sure that I keep in touch with, or at least see some people at least every couple months. I mean, you just have to make it a priority. You have to say, this is important in my life. Friends are such cherished people. They're the family that we choose, and they add so much to your life. My girlfriends, my friends who are guys, I mean, they mean the world to me, and they've shared so much in my life already. And then the new friends that come along that are in this stage of my life. Um, to be a full person, you really need those people by your side, and they're the people who you come to when you're upset, when you're happy, all kinds of things.
And
Um,
Lisa, one of the biggest problems right now is the senior population, as we know, is bigger than ever. But one
yes,
of the biggest problems that they're having, health issues are always a concern with aging, but social isolation.
yes,
All right.
loneliness, loneliness.
Okay. And,
Yeah,
really the bottom line is here, it's a choice. It really is a choice. You can choose to sit in the chair and watch TV. You can choose to go out into the yard and talk to people that are walking past your apartment, your
right,
house,
right.
and have a conversation with somebody walking their dog,
That's true.
right? Something as simple as that, you can make a choice,
That's true. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So these
You know,
these things are just important.
and as people get older, their friendships and their relationships, change. Obviously, you lose friends as you get older. And so it's really important to cherish them as you're going through life. Um, and it's sad because you're losing them as you go along. But don't get to that stage where you say, I wish I had been in contact with them. I wish I'd known them. I wish I'd shared more of my life with them. Don't get to that stage because you'll regret it. Regret it.
Yeah, and I'm not as big of a social butterfly as you
Mhm.
or some of my other friends who attend events constantly and they're out 7 days a week. I like to lay back and I like quiet time and I like to read and I like to watch a movie and but I'll have people call me and really like, come on, I know you're home. It's Friday night. Get dressed and meet me here. And it's important for you to say yes
It is.
and to make that decision. I can choose to say no.
Mhm.
I can choose to say no. But then as you're heading towards that last stage of your life, you'll have that regret, that you didn't stay in touch with friends. And it's important to have those circles in your life. And
What
the
wonderful
last,
friends. What wonderful friends that they call you and that they care enough to say, "Hey, let's go out. I want you to come with me." That's friendship. That really is. And listen, even if it doesn't come to that, just the check-in calls to say
yeah.
hi and how you doing and what are you doing, that is worth $1,000,000.
And I think as we get older, though, those random calls and opportunities for socialization get less and less. So you really need to treasure and appreciate the ones that do come in, the calls that come in or the invitations that come in, and stop saying no,
Right.
right?
And remember, you can make new friends at any age. I mean,
Yes.
here we
Oh,
are
good
in a
point.
in a new community down in the villages in a couple months in the winter, and all of a sudden I'm meeting people from all different groups, the Long Island group and the New Yorkers group and the couples group. I mean, you can if you're open, you can meet a lot of people and still have a lot of fun, no matter what your age is.
A
So people
very,
need to stop blocking things and saying, "Oh, I'm too old for that," or "I don't want to do
exactly,
that." Be open and
exactly.
flexible.
A very dear friend of mine recently passed, and the connections that I've made through that
Mhm.
experience of her
Mhm.
illness, the hospital, the funeral, her support system, and her friends that I didn't even know. People have just been reaching out all over the place because they want that connection with one another. We were all weren't in a group. You sometimes you have different friends in different places, and that's what all these people were. And it's it makes me really appreciate life more. And now I'm forming new friendships where there weren't before her.
And she did that even in death. Isn't that
I know.
interesting?
Is that amazing? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And number five, I wish that I had let myself be happier.
Mm,
Um,
ah,
Happiness, and I know this is a tough one because
mm,
I've had a tough time with it too, but happiness is a choice,
it is.
and we, you we have to find joy in the little things in life, and we can't let external circumstances impede on our happiness or stop us from being happy in general or finding joy in our lives. I've recently made a list of things that bring me the most happiness.
Mm.
And it's big, it's a couple pages full, but it's something I can refer back to all the time. Just like putting clean sheets on my bed, that first night, it makes me feel good. They smell good, they feel good getting in. So it's important to let yourself be happy, embrace that, look
So,
for it.
so last night, I belong to an organization called SULA's Sisterhood Network. And last night's theme, we do monthly themes, and last night's theme was called Bloom Where You're Planted.
Mhm.
It's a really interesting discussion about things not being what you thought they would be, like you and me, and where we are now in our lives, etc. But being able to still see and be happy wherever you are. They gave the
Mm.
example of this beautiful flower growing out of concrete. And that flower is right in the middle of this little concrete curve there, and it's still growing, even though the area is not what you would think it would be to grow a flower. And each of us had not planned maybe what has happened to us and where we are and the circumstances. But bloom while you're planted means being able to do the best you can wherever you are in your life. And I
Yeah,
just love that. I love that concept. I think that's a really positive way of looking at things. And again, it is attitude because you can decide this is horrible and I can't live like this. And then you have the other people who say, listen, this is what I've got and I'm going to do the best I can and be happy in my life.
yeah. And I think, Lisa, it's the rare person that is over the moon and so happy with everything in their lives, right? It's the rare person. And I'm trying to do that lately because for many years now, after my husband passed, I imagined life different as I got older. I didn't think he wouldn't be here and I'd be
Sure,
alone, right?
sure.
So I think about the negatives. I think about that my kids are older now. They're supposed to be out of the nest, but yet they're still here. I think about that financially. It's better for us to be here than for me to go anywhere else. But I always imagine we sell the house and go somewhere and have a view outside. And that was what I look forward to. And I'm not where I thought I would be, but I've tried to change that perspective a little bit. So I tried to say, listen, so this is the situation right now. This is where I'm blooming right now. And let me make it the best it can possibly be
Good
and
for
be
you.
happy
Good
right
for you.
here, right now. And I noticed that by changing that
Hmm.
perspective and thinking like
Yeah,
that, a
yeah,
way that I wasn't thinking a year ago,
yep.
um, wow, it does make me smile and say, wow, I really did always love my backyard, especially when the kids were little and the things we used to play with and the little slides we had and the toys we had and the water things we had and the things we did in the pool and the parties we had. Like, it was a great place to raise kids, and I'm so happy for having that foundation here. So I try and think of the positives now and know that I can bloom wherever I'm planted, and life will unfold exactly the way it's supposed to. And who knows what the plan is for next week or next month or next year? Who knows
Nice.
where I'll be, right?
Nice. That's wonderful. I want to talk about bucket lists for a minute because I got this really cool book on Amazon. It's just a little paperback book, and it's called the Bucket List Book. And it's so neat because you can put different categories. You can put visits to friends, you can put visits to relatives, you can put trips, you could put, things you really want to do, in a year or whatever. And it forces you to write things down, accountability. So you write down the place and you write down when you'd like to do it. And then when you do it, you can just check it off. And I've checked off a bunch of friends and visits and trips, and it's really cool. I mean, there's still plenty of things on my bucket list, but that's just me. But I love the fact that I'm able to write down what I'd like to do. I think
And
it's
that's
great.
wonderful. And I know that I've seen them on Amazon as well. You can just do it in a journal or on a
Sure.
notepad, but having that guidance in that book is really cool. And get it. I don't care how old you are now, but if you
Yeah.
start putting your bucket list on a piece of paper, I just did doing articles monthly for the Positive Tribe magazine now. And that was what my article was about for July. It was about bucket lists. And I have an example of a thing that you can do on a piece of paper. So you get yourself a picture of a bucket. You can even draw it with
Hmm.
a pencil and put lines across the bucket, 5 or 6 lines. And in each section of the bucket, put something big that's on your bucket list and work off that. Put it on your refrigerator and visualize it and see it so that when it comes time to start planning for that next thing, you're going to put it into place. You're going to put things on the calendar. You're going to start researching online on that place that you've wanted to go to the Grand Tetons and or Black Canyon and just look at all the things about it and research and get your plan in place. But by having that bucket out there, that's the way you're going to start to think of things and implement things.
That's
So
cool. That's
get
cool.
your bucket list in
That,
place, and you won't have any of these five regrets at the end of your life, right?
and you know what? A vision board is really neat too.
Of course.
Really cool to now cut out things from travel magazines and from other magazines and have these beautiful pictures of where you'd like to go or who you'd like to see or whatever. That's neat. And put that, like yours is so visual. This is so amazingly visual. You can hang it up somewhere, put it
That's right.
anywhere where you could see it. And that's
Exactly.
inspirational because that's,
Inspirational.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe you won't have those regrets. But the regrets serve as a reminder to all of us today to live authentically, to work less, to express our feelings, to stay connected with our friends, and to let yourself be happier. And it's never too late to start
That's
living
right.
a life without regrets.
That's
So
right.
that's something that every one of you listening today needs to
So
do.
my
Think
phrase
with
to
me.
everybody is always live life to the fullest. And it's been my phrase for many, many years since I was very young. And I always felt that since life could be taken away on a dime, that everybody should really look at their lives and really do the things that they want to do. And that's what really we've talked about today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my
We're all
mantra.
about that, Lisa.
We
This was
are.
fun. I'm glad we decided to do this.
Me too. Thank you, Sue.
So, Lisa, before we close out, have you been doing anything differently in your spare time lately?
No, not
Have you
really.
been
Not
working on anything?
not when it comes to bereavement and all. Though it's interesting because there's so many people out there who know somebody or, who are going through difficult times. And I'm always handing out our cards and always saying to people, listen, this YouTube video series has 95 videos. I'm sure you can find something that resonates with you and that will
That would
help you
be
get through
helpful.
this. Yeah,
Right. And please like and share our videos and follow us so we can get some momentum going.
please.
Right? Absolutely.
I know you've been
And
really busy. You're doing a
I
lot of
have
things.
been busy,
Yeah,
working on a few books among other things, but I just also wanted to mention that I've been in collaboration, if any of you know the Tully Law Group here on Long Island. They're based out of Melville, and they have a life care plan. And there was a missing piece of that puzzle, and it was end of life and legacy. So I'm really honored to be able to help Brian fill that last piece of his puzzle.
it's
So, any
wonderful.
questions about anything? Take a look at some of our videos. Reach out to us anytime. You have our numbers here on the screen and our websites, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you for listening in today. And Lisa,
Yeah.
I will see you next week.
I'll see you too, Susan. Thanks so much.
Have a
Always
great week,
take
everybody.
care. Bye bye.